The situation in Kupiansk has become catastrophic for Russia's forces. Just weeks after Vladimir Putin triumphantly announced that Kupiansk had been captured, fewer than 100 Russian soldiers are now believed to remain inside the city. Ukrainian forces have effectively wiped out the occupying troops, leaving only a small number still to be eliminated before full liberation is achieved. For Moscow, there is little it can do beyond sending more soldiers into what increasingly looks like a death trap. In what can only be described as a nightmare scenario for Putin, Ukraine has established a robotic army that has turned the areas around Kupiansk into lethal kill zones. On January 20th, Russian forces launched multiple desperate attempts to regain some form of control in and around the city, hoping to undo the damage inflicted on their units since December. To the north of Kupiansk, Russian troops attacked the settlement of Halyubivka. East of the city, assaults were directed toward Petropavlivka, Podily, and Katsiurivka. Additional attempts were made from the southeast, where Russian forces tried to gain a foothold in Pashani Stepova, Novoselivka, and Kurilivka. The objective was clear: encircle Kupiansk and retake it. However, the Institute for the Study of War, or ISW, delivered a blunt assessment of what Putin had hoped would be a productive January 20th. Despite continuing offensive operations, Russian forces failed to advance. The reason is simple: Ukraine has constructed massive kill zones around Kupiansk. These zones are so extensive that Russian soldiers cannot pass through the seemingly endless waves of drones required to launch any meaningful assault. At the heart of this defense is a drone wall that now defines the Kupiansk kill zone. As you'll soon see, it may be the solution Ukraine has been searching for to sustain its defenses while minimizing its own losses. In a January 21st report, the new Voice of Ukraine provided insight into the structure of these kill zones. They consist of a dense network of FPV drones stretching up to 25 kilometers, roughly 15 miles, from the Kupiansk front lines. Constantly patrolling the skies with the help of reconnaissance drones, Ukrainian FPVs operate on relentless seek-and-destroy missions. These drones severely restrict Russian infantry movement and routinely destroy the few vehicles Russia sends toward Kupiansk long before they can be used in combat. According to the report, Russian maneuverability has now been reduced to within a single kilometer, turning their troops into easy targets. Militarny reports that the Ukrainian unit known as Orion is responsible for setting up this nearly impenetrable robotic defense. The outlet claims these kill zones account for the destruction of up to 88% of Russian forces before they even reach their intended positions. Ukraine's drone arsenal in Kupiansk includes Leica reconnaissance drones constantly scanning for movement, while FPV and Mavic drones wait in loitering positions until a target is identified. Ground robots are also operating in the area, potentially serving both logistical and offensive roles. Less than 2 weeks ago, this channel reported on a Ukrainian ground robot that traveled more than 20 kilometers to deliver a payload of 12 anti-tank mines to a Russian position. The damage from that operation was devastating, and it's easy to imagine what similar robots could do to Russian troops attempting assaults near Kupiansk. One particularly chilling story shared by Militarny involves a captured Russian soldier with the call sign Bigunak. His task was to guide assault teams through the Ukrainian kill zones. Despite surviving 3 such missions, every group he guided was completely wiped out. On his 4th attempt, Bigunak surrendered, waving a white flag to a Ukrainian drone. According to Militarny, Ukraine's diverse drone usage ensures that most Russian infiltrators are detected quickly. In typical engagements, up to 5 FPV drones, and sometimes as many as 12, are deployed against a single target. Even one such drone can be deadly. A dozen virtually guarantees death. An officer from the Orion unit, Vladislav Zolotarov, explained the thinking behind the strategy. The problem, he said, wasn't a lack of manpower or equipment. It was denying the enemy the ability to move or gain a foothold. An enemy that can't establish a position can't advance. ISW now believes Ukraine has an opportunity to replicate this strategy across the entire front line. Doing so could deny Russian advances and even enable Ukrainian counterattacks. The challenge lies in scale. The front line stretches roughly 1,250 kilometers, or about 800 miles, but Ukraine may already be moving in this direction. Evidence suggests similar kill zones are being implemented beyond Kupiansk, including in the Pokrovsk and Dobropilya regions. According to Ukraine's National Guard spokesperson Ruslan Muzychuk, kill zones are not limited to the space between opposing forces. They can extend far beyond defensive lines. While Russia is also attempting to establish its own drone-filled zones, these tactics matter more for Ukraine, which is largely fighting defensively. With drone walls in place, Ukrainian troops can operate in smaller units, knowing any Russian forces at break will be exhausted and vulnerable. Ukraine's growing arsenal of mid-range drones, such as the Bulava and Ram 2X, capable of flying up to 100 kilometers, could soon neutralize Russian drone hubs and open pathways for counteroffensives. To sustain this strategy, Ukraine is investing heavily in drone production. According to the Kyiv Independent, Ukraine expects to receive around 3 million drones by the end of 2025, nearly 2.5 times more than it had by the end of 2024. Defense Minister Mikhailo Fedorov has emphasized drones as a cornerstone of Ukraine's asymmetric warfare strategy. Fedorov has also announced plans to replace Chinese-made Mavic drones with domestically produced versions, reducing reliance on foreign suppliers. Testing of these new drones could begin as early as this month. Beyond drones, kill zones rely on layered defenses, mines, anti-tank ditches, barbed wire, hidden tunnels, and terrain manipulation. United 24 Media illustrated how these elements funnel Russian troops into narrow corridors where drones finish the job. As Politico describes it, the result is a gray zone of chaos stretching up to 20 kilometers from the front, where evacuation of wounded soldiers and delivery of supplies becomes nearly impossible. Russia has tried adapting by using ground robots and deploying smaller assault teams, sometimes as few as 5 soldiers. But even when these units make it through, they can only dig in and wait, often until they're discovered and eliminated. This attritional strategy is intentional. According to the Atlantic Council, Ukraine has invested in fortifications designed to maintain the stalemate while draining Russia of manpower, equipment, and money. Fedorov has set an ambitious goal, killing 50,000 Russian soldiers per month. In the previous month alone, 35,000 casualties were verified on video. With kill zones expanding and drone production accelerating, that target may not be unrealistic. Ukraine now controls roughly 90% of Kupiansk and is achieving a staggering 27-to-1 casualty ratio. As kill zones expand, Kupiansk may serve as a preview of what awaits Russian forces elsewhere. If you want to learn more about Ukraine's evolving drone strategy, check out our dedicated video on Fedorov's defense reforms. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to subscribe to TDA History for more in-depth coverage of the war in Ukraine. Thanks for watching.